Can everyone hear me all right? Is the mic good? We good? Yeah. Nice. You guys are awesome. Good job, Portland. Anyone here not from Portland? Bay Area folks? Nice. Anyone here attend my last talk last year? I can reuse the same jokes. This is going to be amazing. So, couple caveats to this. We are being videotaped, so if you want to hear the unabridged, inappropriate versions, please speak with me afterwards. HR is not here, so that'll be the good time.
HR is everywhere.
Do we? It's not good. I think I only have one chart in my entire slide, so I have a lot of pretty pictures. I have a lot of stories, and really, it's going to be about 35 minutes, so hopefully some questions. And if we finish on time, we do have a bonus round. So we enter our Konami code up, down, left, right, BA, start, and we'll get some extra insults, because I will teach you how to insult other people, because I love making fun of product managers. Do we have any in here? Yeah. So my name's Yoon. I work at Symphony. We're a startup. We're pretty amazing. If you use Slack, don't. I'm kidding. No. So here's a small tidbit, though, about me. I hate being videotaped. So for as long as I've spoken at conferences, it's a running joke with my colleagues, and it's thankfully Xbox 360. Any gamers in here? My people. Rosetta Stone created a language learning app, and they said, "Oh, Yoon, why don't you get videotape for the app, because you dress nice and stuff." The guy in the bow tie, I have mad respect for you. So I messed up this one line close to 20 times, no joke, and they did an outtake on this before I left. I couldn't say hi. All I had to do was hi. No, I always say hello. So you're going to get a lot of me messing up a lot, so just get used to it. We good? All right, let's do this. Any anime fans in here? Nice. Cartoons? Sci-fi, fantasy, pop geek culture. Oh, West Coast, you're amazing. This is going to be good. This is from an anime, Shokugeki no Soma. It's Food Wars, and so you're saying, Yoon, you're an executive and you're referencing cartoons? Hell yeah, I am. But really, one of the themes is, the title is How to Not Get Promoted. And in the 23 years of my career, I've only been promoted once ever. Because doing what's right doesn't get you promoted, but I sleep really good at night. I've got 3 boys whose respective middle names on their birth certificate are Bazooka, Tiberius, and Mystery. I'm serious. And we're going to be talking about Orin Tiberius, because his first name is named after Aquaman. So please be prepared. I include this slide every year, which always gets me in a little bit of trouble. And just for the record, this is not about me. Because sometimes there's tears and crying, and you don't know what you're doing, and it gets really emotional, just like any Agile transformation or anything with Agile. If there's one thing you can take away, just take away this, and I'll feel good about it. But ratatouille. Any French folks in here? I work for a French company. My CEO, it's one of his favorite dishes. He goes, ratatouille is it's very hearty. It's a family dish. It makes you feel good about home. And a lot of the stories I have prepared for y'all's about family, it's about home, it's about doing what's right, and how to promote your life, not your title, not your money, not anything else. Because Agile is really about how you live your life. So, ikimashou. Let's start. 181, it's a number I'll get back to. I don't play soccer at all. I'm a kendoist, play tennis, and table tennis is the national sport of Symphony. We play almost every day. Oh God, we're being recorded and my CEO is going to fire me for that. But I've now coached my son's soccer season 3 times now. We're in our 3rd season. 181 is our record last season. 1 win, 8 losses, 1 tie. And I'm supremely proud for it, because the latest season, last season, I thought, you know what? Let's just try an experiment. I'm an Agilist at heart. So I used a lot of Agile principles in coaching our team. And you said, that is so stupid. But just hear me out. Because Agile is a way of life. Bring it home. Just try some basic things. Some basics. These are 7-year-olds. Here's how practices usually start. This is what we got to work on, boys. Any disagreements? We get some when we have free time. But here's where it gets interesting. Anyone familiar with the term pre-mortem? Yes. If post-mortem is a wedding, pre-mortem is planning the wedding. I like to call it prevenge versus revenge, though. It just sounds cooler. Kids, what do you want to work on? What do you think we need to do? And we asked this in the beginning. Who's on offense? Who's on defense? Decide for yourselves. And then we'll talk afterwards. So they self-form. A lot of FaceTime. I actually don't document too much. I have some guidelines that I usually work with the other coach. And we do this every practice. And we practice 3 times more than any of the team. It's optional, only once a week, but we do 3. It's AYSO, American Youth Soccer Organization. That's a blatant plug. And last season, we lost nearly every single game. It was a bloodbath. It was a massacre. Parents were okay. Kids loved it. Because we played smart. We played formation. It wasn't a mob. We passed the ball. We moved the ball very well. And 181 is very important, particularly for me. Because the first game was against the Green Dragons. Oh, God. Don't worry, guys. They destroyed us. It was, I think, 8-2. And last game of the season, we played them again. And we were losing fourth quarter. This is our bad news bear story. We were down 4-8 last quarter, and it was almost exactly like what you're seeing on the screen. I said, boys, this is your last game of the season. You should play with no regrets. What do you need to do? All of a sudden, they're all talking. They're all blah, blah, cha, 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 cha. We need to do this. We need to do this. Let's run this play. These are 7-year-olds. But we've been practicing. Lo and behold, I don't know what happened, but after the entire season, they were amazing. We came back 7-8. I get to brag because my son, clear breakaway, maybe 3 more seconds to the goal. Ref, and he scores. I'm like, this is going to be great. It's a tie. Ref blows the whistle. I said, are you kidding me? We were going to win. The ref was, it's not about winning or losing, but I love winning. But the kids were ecstatic. And they were, we don't brag or anything because this is manners. But I asked them, why did we do so well? Ender's Game? Anyone has? I make everyone in project program management, any of the PMOs, I make them read that. It's a great allegory for Agile management, Agile methodology. Because the enemy's gate is down, because that's the one thing we always practice. We didn't say enemy, because these are 7-year-olds. Always keep moving forward. Move the ball forward. Move yourself forward. And know your priorities. I'm loud on the team because we had one kid who was partially deaf, which makes it scary for the other parents because they think I'm psycho. But we adjusted. Pre-mortems, post-mortems. At the end of every game, I don't tell them, I ask them, what do we need to do better? What do we need to work on? You'd be surprised. The first one, they didn't know. And all of a sudden, I was like, just shut your pie holes, guys. You guys are killing me. Go get your snacks, and we'll come back and meet. But they self-formed. I can go into more detail. Maybe I should write a case study on this one of these days. But the kids were great. I've got them all back this coming season. Our first game is this Saturday. I fully intend on destroying all the other teams now, because now we have the oldest kids, and we've practiced all summer. I'm the division coordinator, so yeah, I scheduled the lineup so I get my same team. But net, make Agile a part of your life. If there's one takeaway I can say, kids, significant others, just ask somebody, what'd you do today? It's simple. What are you going to do tomorrow? People with significant others, just if my wife, who we've been married with, been with her for 20 plus years, I just agree with whatever she says because she is the superior of the species in my book. So, and she's already erased any sense of ego and pride I have a long time ago. She pushed out 3 kids out of her hoo-ha. I'm not going to beat that. I'm not. Make Agile a part of your life. Do it at home. Super simple. Just take one principle. My son asks me at the end of every practice, even now, he now plays competitive league, how did I do, Dad? And sometimes he's in the car, and I said, yeah, you didn't do too good today, Warren. It's like, why? And we compare notes, and he accepts it, and that's good. But if it's life, and hopefully we have music fans here where, I had this last year. Agile is like hip-hop. It's really a way of life. I love music, too. Music is everything. But this is part 2, because my slides, this is my Return of the Jedi, because these set of slides all connect with my previous 2 slides that I've done in the past. So hip-hop is something you live, rap is something you do. There are 9 classical elements of hip-hop, debatable. But here are my 9 elements of Agile. Take it for what it's worth. Breakdancing, I can't dance if my life depended on it. It's 3 of my most chronic fears I have. Dancing, boats, and shredded mini-wheats. No joke. It's vile. Yeah, well. Performances. I do the dailies, demos, pre- and post-mortems. Rap. You can interpret it a lot of different ways. I consider it battle for priority. You got to go. Spit your rhymes. Let's see some bars. Let's go. Art, it's another form of communication. You see them as big visual representations on the wall. I got my burn downs or burn ups. I have my slides, notes. DJing, my younger brother's a DJ. God, I wish he would get his life straight. But he mashes things up great. Scrum Masters, Scaled Agile practitioners, XP, even the folks with PMP. Use what you got. Use I know. Agile in name only. Be pragmatic. Don't adhere to a process because you have to. You hear it all the time. But really, just common sense isn't as common as you think. Do what you need to do. Oh, beatboxing. You hear cadence a lot in Scaled Agile framework. But it's modulating and changing the voice for what you need. Street. Here's, not that I'm trying to say that I dress nice, but dress to what makes you feel good so you can carry yourself in such a way that you feel like one bad A mother effer and you just feel like you do it. Because who wants an Agilist who just, scared of their own shadow? What is the saying? When I teach kendo, when you're on the court, when you fight knowing you're going to win, all cost. But when you're off the court, be the most humble, gracious person you can be. So, as an Agilist, it's important you have that presence. Speak the language. I love AgileCamp. This is my 3rd one, because y'all are my people. We all speak the same language. I'm a pragmatist at heart. But we'll talk about intelligence, and I only have about 45 minutes with y'all, so I can't get into too much detail. Politics is not a bad thing. You use it for the benefit of the team. Do it for yourself. But at a minimum, make sure you're hustling. Serve the team. Because Agile is a way of life. And if there's one thing I'm going to ask, at least for this section, it's just to think. Take this and list 9 elements. Share them with your team. Come up with your own playlist. I do that for daily stand-ups. I haven't run a daily stand-up in years. But yeah, I am blasting music in open space, and that's what we do at Symphony now. It's open space, and I'm like, oh God, I can't believe they're playing that. And the entire floor is being rickrolled. And I'm just ashamed because I'm the executive sponsor for that team. But have fun with it. Music is great. Hip-hop is awesome. It's a way of life. And what are those 9 elements? Do they make you authentic? Do you stay true to it? What I do at work is similar to what I do at home with my own kids. My kids aren't all messed up, but they're great. They ask these same questions at school, and the teachers wonder, kid's very articulate. And I said, my wife's a therapist. She married me. I married her for a reason. So, and what's the price you pay? Anyone familiar with the anime Full Metal Alchemist? Oh, you're awesome. One of my favorite terms in that is the term equivalent exchange. What do you sacrifice to get what you need? I sacrificed title. Never been promoted until recently, until last year at Symphony, because I was lucky or blessed. I have a CEO that recognizes what it means to take care of your team. Promoted me. I'm like, wow, this is weird. All the other things happen. So what is your price you're going to pay? This man reminds me of the Dos Equis man. What we do is not as important for understanding management techniques and people. More important is to understand why we do it. How many of y'all have received a communication that you have no context on? Probably almost every single person in this room. Decisions get messed up all the time. But let's talk about price tag. And the next keynote speaker is going to be talking about this. This is the prequel. I spoke with him right beforehand. And there's a point in his life, I think he talks about it in his book, Joy. And it was about the same age where I'm turning level 41 pretty soon, in a couple weeks. And he said he reached a certain point where he didn't care about the money or the title. What is your price tag for happiness? But more importantly, what is it for fulfillment? How many of you think of your leaders in this such way? There's always somebody that you work with. I know there's a lot of Nike folks in here, so don't point any fingers. You're just out for the title. You just want power for the sake of power. You just want to be cool. You want the extra acronyms in your LinkedIn profile. No insult to anyone, unless it's CSM or any Agile acronym, because those are cool. But this is, I tend to breed anarchy a little bit. I'm a bit of a got defiance disorder, I guess, towards authority figures. Because why do you listen to somebody who probably doesn't know what you do? There's a story, paraphrasing. Is it the Mars? There was a NASA mission. And what happened was they were determining when they needed to deploy a chute. And it was for one of the Mars landing. And so they had a room full of generals, admirals, trying to determine when. And the program manager decided, I'm just going to bring in the engineer. Some low-level tech coming, and the tech recommended X, Y, and Z. And he goes, okay, we're going to do that. Leaves. The room is just aghast. And he said, he's not even a colonel. Why would you do that? He goes, because he's there in the trenches. He does the work. So I'm going to listen and trust them. Because most leaders don't really do your work. Hopefully there's no executives in here, but even if you were, I'd still tell you the same truth. Trust your people, because if you don't, this is how they're going to see you, just as a sellout. It is a funny photo, though. There's a reference, happiness disassociation curve. Look it up if you want to. There's plenty of wiki sites out there. But at a certain point, no matter how much money you make, it's not going to buy you happiness. Well, you can sometimes call it diminishing returns. So don't seek money. I mentioned this in my last talk. I worked at Visa, and I was treated very well, compensation-wise. And I left it all to take, a very severe pay cut to join Symphony because I needed fulfillment. Happiness isn't really about the money. And you look for it. And I try to be honest, and most of the material I have is sourced from other folks. I just mash it up, and I give credit for them afterwards. And I can't believe I'm doing this, but I'm actually referencing a Jessie J song in a room full of Agilists. But you look for inspiration in the dumbest places. But really, it seems like everybody's got a price. I wonder how they sleep at night. I can't dance, but I love watching other people dance. I really do. So, net. Happiness is great. Fulfillment is better. You're going to hear about that. But find a purpose above all else. Make it your North Star. Make it your guiding principle, because if you don't have that, then you're just a hollow shell. I just read the book Kafka on the Shore. Anyone? It's a good book. Coming of age. There's a bit of an Oedipus complex in there. But they talk about a little bit of the soul, an empty shell. And, you go through those phases. But if you don't have the purpose, then who cares? Unless you're starting off and you're in debt, then you need to make money, because fulfillment versus death and poverty is not hard to decide. But find a purpose, make a difference in lives. Bow tie. If it's for you, yeah. If that fulfills you, That's great. You have people who do blue. My dad was a machinist, and he kind of did the same thing every single day. But his form of fulfillment was, I'm providing for my kids. It wasn't intellectually stimulating, but he liked that he was able to provide for a family, immigrant. And yeah, that was his fulfillment. He did it the same thing almost every single day till almost 11 years ago when he died. God rest his soul. But it's different for everyone. I use this in my resume. A simple and clear purpose and principles give rise to complex and intelligent behavior, while all the complex stuff makes people stupid. We all have experienced this. Well, you don't do that. Well, in Scaled Agile, that's not how you do your, that's not how you do your planning. Coffees for closers, folks. Agile Manifesto, everyone's seen it, read it. You can look it up online. Any introverts in the room? You don't have to raise your hand because that's kind of a trick question. I am pathologically shy. I'm actually very antisocial. Speaking in a room full of people is a different story. I'm an extreme introvert. I'll probably fall asleep on the airplane right tonight. And I don't talk a lot in a lot of meetings. My H1 review with my CEO was, he's a very kind man, but he said this, Yoon, you don't talk enough. And I'm like, yeah. And sometimes you're in a room full of people who just, a lot of jibber jabber. There's a lot of talk. And we tend to reward those because there's a perception that the more you talk, the more important you are, especially the ones that talk over you. I hate that. Maybe it's just manners, maybe it's a cultural thing, but let people have a chance to speak. Introverts in the world, we make phenomenal listeners. Pessimism. Pessimism always sounds profound. We have movie critics who will rip on movies and you think they're very intelligent, but one of my favorite movies, and it's not a very good movie by regular standards, The 13th Warrior, because it looks like it's watching a D&D movie. We should hang out. You know what else? Army of Darkness, because Bruce Campbell is great. He wears a chainsaw on his arm. Last Starfighter, 80s. Yeah. The critics usually pan those movies, but I love it. Why? Because optimism sounds superficial. Hey guys, we're going to increase velocity by X, Y, and Z. You're just smoking. Wait, smoking marijuana is legal in Portland, isn't it? But optimism gets that. It's a bad stigma. And I will try to find the reference before I post these slides online. But there is a study that says that negative, less likable people, they're viewed as intelligent. I don't know why. I'm a behavioralist and a social scientist by amateur nature, but they just seem smart. You get the naysayers and like, oh, they've got to be smart. So, some of you have seen this before. I'm just going to blaze through these. I've done at least a couple of these here. But you know what's even more amazing that I hope y'all take away with? That's right. I want you to print this out, take it to your next meeting, and see what happens because you play bingo, and hopefully you don't get fired. Don't blame me. Because just like this cat eating fried chicken and smoking a cigarette, some of those meetings and some of those people are just really ridiculous. Except for the cat. This is amazing. Meeting bingo. Take it away, folks, because sounding smart doesn't really help. Smart action is much more important. And although I wish I had more time to go over smart actions, you can use this line too, because I use it all the time. I'll just cancel my subscription. Why? I'm tired of your issues. Just go away. Go away. So act smart. Don't sound smart. It sounds so simple. All of you all have read books, Good to Great, The No A-Ho Rule, Who Stole My Cheese? A lot of great books, but how many of y'all really practice what they do? I'm not smart. I can proudly say, no, that's not right. I can say I am not the smartest person in this room. I'm not the best project or program manager. I'm an adequate Agilist. I'm a pretty good dad. The only thing I do is I read a lot, I take a lot of notes, and I practice what I write down. So that's a little bit of discipline. And that's why I get to wear a tie and, drink a lot of coffee at work. Drink too much. But be aware when you're trying to sound too smart. No one likes to know it all. Agilists, it's a way of life. Practice it now. Lead with positivity. Please. This is not to get into politics. There's too much negativity in the world. Please just make someone happy. I believe in altruism. There's a little bit of selflessness. Talkers get advanced, and I say, you're just a sellout. I didn't get promoted in a while. I'm okay with that. I would have been fine not even get promoted at all for the rest of my life, but I love my team. And the moment people sense that sense of inauthenticity or lack of integrity, you lose trust. So why do it? If you've read the book, what is it, author of Freakonomics, Think Like a Freak, they use a term called weed your own garden. Afterwards, you can lay down some traps. Weed your own garden against those smart talkers. But focus on action. Talk is cheap. So just cut the jibber jabber, get straight to the biscuits, and just do what you got to do. Oh, it's a Danger 5 reference. We just had our H1 reviews for folks for performance, and sometimes think just because you work 80 hours a week, you actually get a high performing. Nah. Don't mistake activity for achievement. Debatable now. Knowledge is intangible. I'm going to go back a slide because that was in one of my top 10 to sound smart. Any mechanics in the room? If I were to give you, Kyla, blueprints to build an engine, would you be able to build an engine? No. Just because you read it, just because you have the knowledge documented, doesn't mean you can do it. Vice versa. David? Nice hat. Is it Gorn Brothers? Oh. Just because I say one thing, we can interpret it in so many different ways. If this was Japanese, there's so many voices and tone for inflection that you can use to say the same thing, even though, or same thing, or even different things. Knowledge, I personally believe, and there's a lot of studies on this, and there's references that it's intangible. It's more about the experiences and how you share it that makes it something valuable. But this also leads to leaders rationalizing inaction for the knowledge that they have. I'll pause for a second for y'all to take a look at this. I think there was a reference they have in terms of leaders and their ability to execute. You know what the percentage is of leaders who can execute effectively? Less than 80%. That's why we hire PMO and project managers and Agilists, because we're amazing. Never forget that, people. Never forget that. One of my dreams is to go to a career day in high school, and the kids go, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be a project manager. How awesome would that be? What do you want to do? I want to study Agile at, I don't know, Stanford. Good for you. Great. But I get this regularly from whatever company and whoever I help with. Can't make a decision. There's a term I was going to use, but I can't because we're being videotaped. It's inappropriate, so ask me later. It's a good one. We talk about, a keynote's going to be talking about this in terms of open shared space and knowledge. And leaders, bad ones, they hide behind knowledge, they try to sound smart, and then they don't act on it. And what happens? It's us in this room. Every program, project, Agilist, XP, DevOps, we pick up the slack. How many of you have ever heard of a corporate Agilist officer? Does it even exist? Why does our fate have to be determined by some C-level officer that doesn't even speak our language? I don't know. That's a pipe dream. But no offense to our CTOs and other executives, but they're not Agilists. They read about it in a book, and then they just pretend. So if there's any one dream I could have is somebody in this room, please make it to the C-level suite and become that person to say, you know what? I'm going to make this a priority versus, we have budget cuts. Let's hire 3 more engineers and cut the PMO. Oh, it happens. The knowledge is embedded in these shared spaces, which is then acquired through one's own experience, reflections on the experiences of others. Agile Manifesto, people and interactions over processes and documentation. It's one of our core tenets. Share knowledge. That's why we're here. Very easy. So how do we share knowledge and experiences effectively? Oh, here's some percentages. Let's just use communication as a format. 6%. I'll try to find the reference to this. I'm good at memorizing numbers. But 6% in the grammar we use. 30% in the actual elocution of the words you use and how you say it. So maybe I just sound smart and self-deprecating, and you think that me using humor makes me sound more intelligent when I'm not. It's true. But the most important thing is the non-verbal language. You get lost. I can hand you plans for an engine. Doesn't mean you understand it. Versus, let me sit down with you and actually explain why this is important, and let's work to it together. So knowledge isn't intangible, but it doesn't mean you can't wield it properly. But it's shared. It's a shared experience. We share it here today. My one challenge to everyone in this room is once you leave, there's a lot of Nike folks, one of my favorite brands, and I'm not trying to suck up because I really do like Nike. I was like, wow, this campus is amazing. Share your knowledge. Don't worry about the documentation. It's weird. When you coach or mentor folks, it's more important to think about them versus the company. And now that I've video recorded this, now I'm going to be in real big trouble. I'm sorry, David. He's our CEO. But he believes it too. If you're a leader in any type of capacity, if you're a person of some influence, just have some sense of, I want to care for you. Individuals and interactions over process and tools. It's one of my favorite things. And always give context, because you never know. That body language might have been misinterpreted. I've made a career out of this. I still don't know why I get paid to do some of this stuff, in all honesty. Am I good on time, sir? Damn, I'm amazing. I'm stroking my own ego here because I have my moments of darkness. Not really. The psychologist, who I'm completely blanking out on because I'm nervous right now, has come. There's two different forms of intelligence, and one is fluid intelligence, and the other one's crystallized intelligence. Not to be mistaken for Daniel Kahneman's think slow and fast in terms of type 1, type 2 thinking. Fluid intelligence, a lot of it, problem solving, being able to think in an abstract way. When you're in meetings, how many of you go back to your PMBOK guide or go to some documentation about some reference in terms of how you should do that burn down chart with X number of teams and stuff, versus let's just do this, and I think this makes sense, and I'm only spending 10 minutes versus 4 hours. Fluid intelligence starts off great, and over time, you kind of lose it, but we'll get to that. Whoa. Crystallized intelligence is a little bit of the opposite. It's experiential. What have you learned over time? The easiest thing I can say is grammar, vocabulary, learning another foreign language. This is depressing. I'm level 40. I'm going to be level 41 pretty soon. But right around that age is when fluid intelligence starts to diminish. It's a sad truth, but as you get older, you can't keep up with those kids playing freaking Call of Duty and just smoking you every single time. I get so depressed. Just because I'm Korean doesn't mean I'm automatically awesome at StarCraft, because I'm horrible at it. I can't do. I'm just not as fast. And this is how I sometimes feel going through my midlife crisis. Don't worry, it's not like you're going to become some decrepit old mummy or some dried mackerel. Because youth and enthusiasm will always be defeated with wisdom and treachery. Anyone that's over 40, just say that to yourself every day, and you're going to feel great about it. Because that's what I tell the kids at the dojo. Like, I made you. I can break you. Oh, God, that's another HR violation, huh? But crystallized intelligence also diminishes with age, too. Because as it is just the natural progression. You get older, you rely upon wisdom and experience. But it doesn't mean it's forgotten if you don't use it. How many of you, I'm Korean by nature, but I've forgotten most of my Korean because I don't use it. I use my Japanese more. And Latin is just out the door, it's dead to me. That's a bad joke. But I've forgotten all my Latin. I've forgotten all my French because I don't use it. I've lost that crystallized knowledge. And if you really want to talk about it, there's a correlation between your ability to have fluid intelligence versus crystallized intelligence. Why am I bringing this up? As Agile leaders, it's important for us to be fit. It really is. I'm elitist. I'm not going to lie. I think we're amazing as a community. Hopefully, if you have kids or you have the ability to influence, you too can make my dream come true and make them say, I want to be a project manager and Agilist at career day. But build your Agile intelligence. I worked at Rosetta Stone, and I think it's debatable. There's no conclusive proof that playing on your Game Boy or on your phone, doing those brain fit games actually helps you. It's debatable. But I'd like to think to at least give it a try. Read some books. Get your certifications. Make the company pay for them if you can. But make L&D, learning and development, a priority. Because at least there is studies showing that as you get older in your career, continual learning keeps you sharp. One of my favorite professors was in his 70s. Oh, gosh, sharp. Sharp as a tack versus other people that you might work with who are about as sharp as a, bowling ball. Happens. So build your Agile intelligence. You'd be grateful. Because to grow into a leader, learning and leading with Agile intelligence, fluid, crystallized. Anyone Game of Thrones fans? Is everyone up to date?
No.
Damn. I'm a dreamer. There's so many references I want to do, but I don't want to get kicked out of here or just get killed. But recapping, fluid versus crystallized intelligence. Build your Agile intelligence. Make it your third trinity, your triforce. Pessimism sucks. Lead with optimism. Be a good guy. Wear a bow tie. Be happy. Because there's too many a-holes in the world. And knowledge is intangible. It is a shared experience. After this conference ends, once I post this, I will share with you every single reference point, every book, and I'll even give you the playlist that I use for the music that inspires me, and even the anime references, even the bio, because I make a Naruto reference within my bio, and I don't know if anyone ever got that, but it's okay. There's at least one or two of you that but talking smart isn't as important as smart action, because talk is cheap. Shop smart, shop S-smart. You got it? And also discover your purpose. What's the point of being a leader if you don't know where you're going to go or what you're going to do? I live by two guiding principles, which have guided me for the last 15 years of my life. Anyone play MMOs? I used to. It's great. When your tanker is tanking well and your healer is just doing it and all the buffs are working. And oh, that's an amazing feeling when the raids are working. I love working on great teams. It is one of those, just a basic common tenet of Agile. Self-forming great teams is a magical experience. I can make some sports analogy, but I'm not good at sports. I'm pretty embarrassing. Find good teams. The second thing is this: I don't seek leadership positions. I want to be the queen maker. I want to be the king maker. I want to find somebody who has these natural things they want to do. They want to make the world a little bit of a better place, or at least create a workplace that's just awesome. And if I could help that person, her or him, just get there, you know what? That's great. Find those people. That's what I live by. Yours can be different. Yours can be, I don't know, cold brew in the kitchen every day. Oh, coffee sounds great. Because coffee's for closers. Because when this is done, I'm going to drink some more coffee because I'm done. Live an Agile life. I love music. I listen to really bad music too. Don't judge me on the Jessie J reference. But what did I listen to right before? I was listening to JC because I got 99 problems, and when I'm done with this, it's not a problem anymore. And you know what? It's going to be great. Find your 9 elements of Agile. Live by it, or at least pick one and just be true to it. This is the last session and the last session. You've listened to a lot of other leaders. and a lot of other people. And they're good. That's fine. But I really want you guys all to be great. Because then you could hire me when I'm old. Because my crystallized intelligence is just bad. But be great. Be great at something. Have a purpose. Say, I have done something amazing, like career day at high school, and brainwash some kids. Because maybe one of them will hire you when you're an old fossil. But be great at something. Have that purpose. I'm going through that right now with my wife, saying, I said this to our company, half joking, half serious. Maybe I should step down from the exec team. And they're like, why? You stupid? I'm like, I think I could do more good in the following other areas, because I don't care who I report into as long as I can do some good. I think 3 other people said, no, you don't. I said, you sure? It doesn't matter. I'm still going to get paid the same amount of money. My equity's still good, right? They're like, yeah. Well then, less responsibility, more work. No, it didn't happen. But be good. Be a good leader. I'm done. It's a wrap. Because there's always a creepy photo somewhere. Questions?